The eCom Seller Summit was created to prove that with the right tools and training, anyone and everyone can make money in e-commerce. So many people want to try their hand at e-commerce, selling on eBay, Amazon, Shopify, and more, but they're afraid they won't be successful. This summit will show you that there's many ways to do e-commerce, and there are many platforms you can explore, because e-commerce really has no limits. It really can pay your bills, and e-commerce never sleeps. There's nothing like waking up to profits from getting sales all night long. My name is Nicole Whitlock, and this is the eCom Seller Summit. Before we get started, please be sure to take notes. Today's eCom Seller Summit speaker is Joy Packard. Joy has mastered the art of caring for a large family of 8 while running a highly successful e-commerce business by leveraging outside resources. She's a multitasking e-commerce entrepreneur who has become an industry expert on outsourcing big and small tasks in her daily business. Joy, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your extremely busy schedule to share your knowledge with us today.
Hi, everybody. This is Joy Packard. I welcome you. I'm so honored to be able to be here to speak with you today. I have a lot of things to share with you that I hope will give you value and help you in your business. A little bit about myself, for those who don't know me. I am a mom of 8. I am a Lola to 9, which basically means a grandma to 9 and almost 10. We are expecting our 10th grandbaby in June that we're super excited about. I'm a speaker and internet entrepreneur. I do all things e-commerce with Amazon, Shopify. We sell on Etsy and eBay. Have our own private label brand, and we've been doing Amazon for almost 6 years now. I'm a retreat leader. I love to travel to the blue beaches of the world, and I have a podcast out that's called Joy Reveals. And so, I always love to start out my presentations about asking you, what is your why? And a lot of people ask, what does that mean exactly? And, several years ago, I went to an event. And what they did is, one of the sections that really impacted me was we had to make our own why video. And what exactly is that? Well, we had to take videos and pictures of some of the things that were super important in our life, our family, maybe events, maybe impactful people who are in our life, and put it together and make a slideshow to some music and make it anywhere between 3, 5, 7 minutes long. With 8 kids, mine turned out to be almost 7 minutes, but it's something that reminds you. I play it every day when I'm getting ready for the day, and it just reminds you of why you do what you do. And I encourage you to do this. I encourage you to, do this so that as a reminder of why you're doing what you're doing in your business. This is definitely my why. One of my sons got married on February the 2nd, almost a month ago. And this is has my 4 beautiful daughters on the right, my sons on the left. They've got my their grandparents there, and my new daughter-in-law. So this just happened. It brings me so much happiness when I see this picture. And, this is during Christmas time. We had our own Packard party music festival at our house where we sang songs for the community. And this includes everybody in our family, except one of my sons was not able to make it. So this is them. So sharing with you a little bit of our why. So, when I go to events, I teach this particular tip, and I wanted to share it here with you as you are going through this presentation and, any other presentations that you listen to. And it's this magical black rectangular box. And, what exactly is that? Well, I go to several conferences. I'm sure you do too. And I listen to many things online and have events. And I ask myself, a lot about, I go to them, I get excited, and then I basically come home at the, and I forget everything that I learned. And I'm sure that you do too. And it's just, natural thing. It's when we're in the moment over there of the event, we're like, oh, that sounds really good. That sounds exciting. And this is the way that I've learned over the years that's helped me to remember. And so basically before if there's a software or a book or a website or a person I want to look up on the internet, on Facebook or whatever, I have this little square, this little rectangular before that, to when I get home, I look through my notes and it reminds me to do that. And so I encourage you to do that as well as we are going through this presentation. And if something sticks out to you, go ahead and write it down and write this, make this little rectangular or whatever shape that you want that, that fits well with you. So today we wanted to talk a little bit about diversifying and outsourcing your waste to freedom. I'm going to share with you a lot of the things that has helped me over the years. And I'm going to, I want you to think about for a moment, what do you do every single day in your business? And this list, we're going to keep referring back to it over and over again. And, it's going to be a list of tasks and the things that you need to be doing. And so I want you to think about that. Write down every single thing that you do on a daily basis, and this might help you, to think of your schedule, things that you do, places that you have to go on a daily basis. What places do you have to be for your kids? And, maybe you have lunch meetings or, maybe you need to meet your significant other or whatever. And think about it long and hard of what your day really looks like. And, before we get into the outsourcing part, I wanted to share with you, I've only shared this with one other group, and it's a sample of my daily agenda. And why is that important? Well, at the beginning, I let you know that I had 8 kids. And one of the reasons I'm happy to say that is, of course, to share my family, but also to let you know that you can do this. If a mom of 8 can do this, then you can as well. And so, here's my acronym, GURP. This is to help me remember my daily routine in the morning. It stands for gratitude, exercise, read or listen to a podcast, meditate and pray, and plan. And we're going to kind of go through each one of these so that I can share with you. Basically, I have a journal. It's called a 5-minute journal. Many of you may have heard of that as well. And there's also a gratitude journal that you can make for your own. And it's when if you study a lot about beginning your day and ending your day with gratitude, it does a lot. I mean, believe me, this has a lot to do with your business. It just puts you in the right mindset, opens up your heart. And so I want you to think about at least 3 things. The 5-minute journal has you do this. This is an example of somebody on the internet, clean sheets on your bed. Who doesn't love that? What makes you smile? What are you grateful for? And, I started a gratitude journal, of every day that I can think of things that I'm grateful for, because, you're going to have those days where it's not a good day, and it's always awesome to have something to refer to realize that there are so many things in this life to be grateful for. So start your own gratitude journal, get the 5-minute journal if it's something that you like to do. It's awesome. We're told every day how important it is to exercise, even if it's 10-minute walk, 20, 30-minute workout, cycling, whatever it is. And, Chalene Johnson, many of you know who that is. I love to follow her on Facebook and social media. And she's also, not only a business guru, but an exercise person that I've loved to follow over the years. And one of the tips that she has shared with us and shared with me that would help is to basically pick out your workout clothes ahead of time and lay it out, your shoes the night before so that you have it, you see it, so that you have no excuse. We can have all the excuses all day long as to why not to do this. But if it's there for us and, and it's ready for us like that, then it's just easier for us to get this done. It helps your mind. It helps, get your adrenaline going for the day. It just helps in so many ways. So try and get that in every day. I started doing meditations and meditating 2-3 years ago or so. And believe me, if you look online and learn about some of the practices of some of the successful people in this life, they meditate. Every single one of them meditate. They have meditations. They do 5-10 minutes, 30 minutes is ultimate. I know not all of us have that, but these are just some apps that you can use. I'm sure there are many that you can, look online or look on your app store. Headspace and Calm are great ones. There's meditations for business, anxiety, overwhelm. Maybe it's, trying to figure out different projects. And so, reading, those of you who into your scriptures, or there's books on self-improvement, always trying to better yourself, improving your business. There's goals for that. There's other kind of books that you can read that help you to be productive or just to be a better person. And maybe it's just to read daily also just out of relaxing. It doesn't always have to be on, being productive. And then I always love to pick up my podcast the night before. I love to decide, tomorrow I want to kind of have a podcast on motivation, or maybe it's on cooking or whatever it is, but go ahead and pick it out the day before. And then, of course, to plan, have our ideas, our concepts. And we're going to be talking about this a lot because it's going to go and, go in sync a lot with outsourcing. And we're going to be talking about that a lot. So, if you think about it, a lot of these things that I just told you happen before 9 a.m. And if you have done all or most of these tasks at the beginning of your day, then to me, I look at my day and I'm like, my day is already a success. If you can fit those in, and you can decide what time you want to wake up in the morning to get that done. It could be 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, 7. I'm not a morning person, but I try to be, but many of you can probably get that done. And I love this quote, Zig Ziglar, if you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time. And that's why it's so important, as we look at that, we just shared, the planning, the goal setting, just planning on all the things with your business and all the different things that, you want to get done with your life, even not just your business. So one thing that I always love to do is, and this number could be different, but if you can think of one thing every single day that you absolutely want to get done, let's just talk about our business. And so I, write down one thing that you absolutely want to get done. And that way, if you think about it, if you do this every single day, at the end of 30 days, you've gotten 30 things accomplished, and if you times that times 3, like if you want to write down 3 things, which is kind of what I try and do, imagine like just pushing forward and getting those things done. And so that's super important, writing down one thing that you absolutely want to get done. And when you're thinking about it, I want you to, we know this analogy, the story about putting your big rocks in first. If you put your big rocks in first, like family, maybe it's, getting your meditation and whatever those things are, put those in first so that the rest can fill in, all of the other things can fill in. Because if we don't, and we try and put in all these other things that don't really matter, or that just, frivolous things that are just there and we're not thinking about it, then it's going to be really hard to get our priorities straight. Like for me, of course, family is so important to me. I'm sure that is to many. And, my kids were little, they had plays, or they had soccer games and athletics, and they had, grandparent lunch or parent lunch or whatever, they had. And so those are the kind of things, that you can fit in and put it down on that schedule. A lot of things are always in my head. I'm sure yours are too. As entrepreneurs, we have all of these ideas that are in our head on a daily basis. And I'm going to teach you something that has changed my life. And, it's just putting things that are in my brain to paper. And, if you have heard of mind mapping, great. If you haven't, you should Google it. We're not going to have too much time to go into that. But, mind mapping, starting off with one idea and branching off into different things. And I'll show you a little bit more of what I'm talking about. Like you can think of a single idea. What kind of tools will you need? What kind of knowledge and learning and different things, the process, the things that you're going to have to do. These are going to all stem out. And instead of being in your brain, they're going to be on paper. This is just an example of my mind map several years ago, and still kind of is that way. And, you start out with a single idea, and, as you can see, some of these different branches, retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, wholesale, private label, doing my retreats, doing my membership site, events, podcasting, drop shipping, Amazon merch. And I know this looks daunting and looks, almost like, so many things. This is where the outsourcing ideas are going to come into that we're going to talk about. But yours may be, your single idea, and you may have 1 or 2 different ideas. It doesn't have to be this intricate, but this is just something that I like to see and refer to. And it just helps me, it's better than just writing it down in a journal. It just helps me to see. And every time I have a sub, topic or sub idea from that idea, this is how I can see it. So it's really cool. This is the free software for the mind map that I just made. You can write it down or screenshot it, whatever you want to do. I'm sure there are many online that you can find. This one's free and it just works for me. It's pretty easy to use. So again, I want you to think about, as we're going to keep referring to it, about reviewing your daily schedule and seeing the times that you can block out to dedicate to your business. We have several things in the day that we have to do. We have to eat. We may have to take 20-minute naps. We have meetings, we have calls, we have webinars, we have all of these kind of things that we have to do. And so as you see it this way on a calendar, it helps you to see it better as to where in there can I block out some time to do for my business. I usually pick a day of the week. Mine is Tuesday. I have 2 mastermind meetings that happen that day. I try and record a podcast that day, call suppliers for my Shopify store or wholesale, sort through buying lists, online wholesale private label that I will show you later on as this presentation goes forward. But it's like, however it works for you, if it's like every single day I'm going to put in this block of time that I can do for my business, or, one particular day of the week that is a little bit more heavier as far as a task go. But I know like every single week that Tuesdays are usually the days that I'm doing a lot of my tasks for my business. Again, this is a good block of time to see, if you want to see it this way of, looking at your week, looking at your appointments, looking at your to-do list. If you're a mom, if you have your own business, different things, it's just another way to kind of look at it. I love talking about chunking, and I'm sure there's many meanings, but in this example, let's just give an example of, say that you want to launch your first private label product, and that's the top part, right? And then you think about all of the different things that you have to do to make that happen, right? And then from that, you may need tools, you may need a mentor, you may need a course, you may need video, photography, and those might be the small things at the bottom. But as you can see, instead of like trying to do everything at once, all by yourself, you can just chunk it up, like take little pieces of it, break it down, and then maybe break it down even more, and then you'll see the orange arrow goes all the way back from doing all these kind of things, will go back into going back into the main idea, right? So there's something called Awesome Note. It's a great app. And I'm sure there are many apps out there to keep track of things, but I love this one. It was recommended again by Chalene Johnson. You can create folders in there, your to-do list, maybe your business list, maybe ideas, this is a little bit more in depth of it. Ideas, maybe your travel journal, where you want to go. Maybe down the road, you're doing a travel blog and you want to remember that place. But each folder can break up, into even smaller, like you can see what's in those folders. It has a calendar. So this just helps things to stay even more organized. It's more brain to paper stuff. I really love that. I think that there's another app out there called Wunderlist. I think somebody had recommended. I'm going to have to look on my phone. Wunderlist. Yeah, that's another one. Wunderlist is another app. And I'm sure there are many apps. You can just find what works for you. When I don't always have my journal with me, I love this one because it's on my phone always, So again, as we're writing all these things down, a goal without a plan is just a dream. I love this quote by Dave Ramsey. One of the tactics that I like to share with you is, having a time blocker, an online time blocker. This one is online, -stopwatch.com. There are many. This is free. I have 3 screens up. I know many of us have, I love it. I have multiple screens, and I have this timer on one of my screens. And when I'm blocking out my time, let's just say 15, 20 minutes of what I want to do, I turn off my phone. I take out all distractions. I turn off Facebook, I turn off Twitter, turn off everything to where I am laser focused for that time period when that timer is on. Maybe it's like I'm going to write a good title for my product, or maybe it's I'm going to write a good email, whatever it is that you're working on. You can set the time and know that that time block is for you. And that has worked well for me, and I think it'll work well for you. We have many tasks that we have to do on a daily basis, so many things. And we're going back to that list that we talked about of the different things that we have to do on a daily basis, right? We have things that we want to accomplish in our business. And I think that it's just one of those things that, if we see it on paper, using our mind map, using our overwhelm, as far as being overwhelmed and being able to put it all together, we feel overwhelmed with all the different tasks that we have. And one of the things that I really love is we actually can get some help. And this is where we're going to be talking about outsourcing. There are many things, and we're going to refer back to your list. What tasks would virtual assistants perform for you? All the different things. Now, several years ago, I went to a life-changing event in San Diego, California, and one of the things that I love is I I basically went there and there were several things that I learned. It was an internet marketing conference. But today, when I went to this event on that day, I learned that I could replace myself, and I could actually, this quote here, do what you do best and outsource the rest. It kept coming to me as far as, outsourcing, doing those things. What if I told you, and this is what I learned at that event, that you could get an outsourcing virtual assistant between 200 to 400 a month, of course, more depending on the task, but on an average, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. This is the concept that completely changed my life, changed my business. And when I speak at events and I ask people, how many of you have a virtual assistant? And out of a room of, say, 100 people, 10 people raise their hand. It just blows my mind that this knowledge is not out there. And, it's part of my mission to share this and to let people know, that you can get this done. This is something that you can do. And so where do you find them? There are many sites out there. There's guru.com, upwork.com. One of my favorites is onlinejobs.ph. 5 of my virtual assistants today that I have come from this site. And it's just something that I'm familiar with. And, this is a little bit of what it looks like. It's one of the world's largest and safest marketplaces, for finding Filipino workers, and you can see on the screen, there's over 500,000 resumes with all kinds of people with skills, from social media posting to creating Facebook pages, SEO, programming, creating your website, helping you with your listings. There's so many things. What's wonderful about that too is the fact that if they don't know how to do it, I'm finding out if you have a tutorial or you make one yourself and you show it to them, they can learn it. So as you can see on here, 57,000 people have learned what Philip, what you can do. And this website at the top, you can replaceyourself.com. It will show you many things. It has a training to show, your workers that you get different ways that you can look and see if that's for you, how to do blogs or, how to do SEO or anything. I'm sure there are other virtual assistant sites that are specific to Amazon, and you can find those. But this is one that I really like when I first started out and I wanted to share it with you. We're going back to that list again. I keep going back. What are the things that I do for my business on a daily basis? Make that list, refer to it often. One of the things when you are finding a virtual assistant, and you're thinking about those tasks that you just made, is to make sure that you interview thoroughly. And what I mean by that is we'll go through some of that, and a lot of times when they have things in their resume, they put it there so that their resume looks good. It's just kind of a natural thing that we all do sometimes. So we have to interview thoroughly. And one way that we can do that is through Skype. You can do it through Google Hangouts, however you want to do it. But the important thing is to hear them, to hear them talk. What are some of the things that I look for and what you should look for? Do they speak English? And why is this important? Because they're going to be creating listings for you, writing emails for you, maybe some of them will be doing some calling to wholesale suppliers for you. So if they say they speak English, you want to see how their English is. Can you understand them? Because like I say, if they speak it, then they can write it. And that's an important thing too. Do their skills match what they write down? We just talked about that sometimes they put things on there and it may not be exactly what they know. Like if they just kind of maybe say, oh, I do know how to do social media, but exactly what does that mean? How fast is their internet speed? We want to make sure that their computers are up to par, that when they're working for us, that they're not going to have slow lag times because, we want them to be as efficient as possible. Down the road, as you have your virtual assistant, you may want to even offer to pay for their internet speed, to buy a better package. Do they have their own computer? Are they working like at a Starbucks in the Philippines or whatever? Or they have it because, they're going to be relying on bandwidth and other people's stuff. And so, after a while with my virtual assistants, $200-$300, you can get a decent computer over there in the Philippines. So I ended up buying a better one with better RAM, better specs. So, everything is about being efficient and helping your business to run. And of course, to get references, to who do they work for and how did they do at that particular job? So super important to listen to that. Okay, when you're interviewing, your first virtual assistant or another one or whatever, I always like to start off by giving them a specific task. Maybe and one of the things that I highly stress is in your email, maybe at the bottom, you may say, after you read this email, I want you to reply back with monkey, the word monkey in the subject line, just making that up. But, this way, a couple of things. Number one, they are reading your email. And number two, they are following instructions. If they can't even do those two things, it's like they're not following instructions, they're not being thorough. That kind of already tells me something about them. But as you're beginning, you may think of a specific task that you want them to try, and say, it could be something as simple as like, I want you to, look at this particular listing and do the best, maybe can you enhance this listing for Amazon or something like that. It could be anything, but, simple tasks that you give them to do. And I usually do like a trial period. I usually do like, a 2-week to 4-week period. Usually a month is a good time. And this way it gives you kind of an out. You can just say, look, we can try each other out, see if we're both a good fit for each other. And, at the end of the 30 days or whatever, if it is, then we can keep going. If not, you learn some skills and we can still be friends or whatever. Just gives you a chance to get to know them, to see how they're going to be as they're working for you. So here are some tasks that, VAs can handle. These are just a few. Creating listings, searching for private label product ideas, creating t-shirt ideas for your Amazon merch account, customer service, like I have somebody that specifically helps me, like monitors my emails, for my Amazon account and, checks the back office, make sure that things are going smoothly, running smoothly. They can create websites, maybe you need a website for your wholesale accounts, fulfill Shopify orders, that's kind of a tedious task, but needs to get done. They can list on eBay. Maybe they can list on Etsy. They can list for you. You can give them software to do that for you. Walmart listings, handle email lists. So many, there's so many things that they can do. Here's some tasks that, I just pulled out for even my own business. Find 5 replens, on a daily basis. Maybe it's weekly, depending. Replens meaning, products that you can buy over and over again, like cotton balls or Band-Aids or, in the grocery aisle, like maybe, food items. Maybe order 1 private label from my research, like the research that they give me, I can order from that list. Contact wholesale suppliers. Maybe they might give me a list of the wholesalers and I need to contact them, improve my listing. So, there's so many different softwares that you can give them. These are just a few that I just came to mind. Thomason Shopify software, Viral Launch, give them different softwares. One of them that I give them is Tactical Arbitrage. Many of you have heard that one, and it's awesome. I was one of the first ones to get it whenever it first came out, and I was very blessed. But, give them the software, and it helps them to, go faster to find different products. Give them your login. Honestly, I don't even know how to use Tactical Arbitrage. I just give it to my virtual assistants and they do it. So again, going back to that list, having your VA do all of the tasks that you don't have to do. There's some tasks that you think that you feel like you're supposed to do or that you have to do. And in reality, you don't have to do them at all. So, believe me, they are so good at what they do, and you can start feeling comfortable in giving up that control. The different tasks that they can do. Here are a couple of other things that, that they can do for you. We talked about creating websites. They can create images, maybe for your Amazon listing, set up Facebook ads and Facebook pages, maybe for you're trying to build an audience for one of your private label products or your brand. They can go through a course. Sometimes I want to go through it, and I have a virtual assistant that goes through it, and then they send me back a summary, so that I can know that, okay, this is something that I have time to go through right now or something that I need to do later, and of course, take a look at all the other tasks that you have. This is an example of, them using Tactical Arbitrage. This is what comes back. It's a daily deal list where basically it has the product, what it's selling for on Amazon, what the profit is, fees, taxes, sales taxes, what is it selling for on the Amazon, on the Amazon .com site, what's the BSR, how many sellers, FBA and merchant fulfilled, and, the Amazon link, so I can check it. Because just because it's sent to me doesn't mean that these are going to be winners. I still have to check it, make sure the prices didn't tank, make sure that, it's legitimate. But isn't this amazing? I want you to think about this page for just a moment. When I ask people, when I show this something like this at an event, and I say, how long do you think that this would take you? And I get a week, a few hours, 6 to 8 hours, a month. I don't think it'll take a month, but I'm just saying, like, can you think about the hours that it took to do this and what you can do in those hours of time? And so that's super important and super, the hours of time that you are buying back for yourself. So another thing is, again, going back to your list of, like, if you're doing private label, I want you to think about listing the steps of finding a private label product. What kind of steps can you buy? Write down, what kind of steps do you need in order to get that first private label product, right? Here is another one. And so I basically have, this is another list of private label possibilities. It looks just like the other one. I want you to think about this for a moment. If you just told them by the end of 30 days, I want you to come up with, 300 products that I can check, 10 a day. And so this is in 2015, and it's amazing. These are possibilities. And if only one of these was a winner, think about that for a moment. Like, what if one of those products made $500 a month, and then you launched it, and then another and another. 17 products brings in $102,000. And so that's pretty amazing. You're a 6-figure seller, if you come up with that. So one other thing that I forgot to mention is, if you are going to hire people from the Philippines, I want you to think about the Philippines holidays and something that's also called, because their holidays are different than the United States. And so, I want to stress the fact that, you should give them those days off. Write it down, look it up online, and make sure and make note in your calendars that to give your virtual assistants that time off. There's also something called the 13th month. That is, something that they do over there. So it's basically like they get an extra month's salary at the end of the year. It's not a big deal, but it's super big bonus for them. They look forward to that. Here's some management softwares that I just wanted to share with you. There's several different ones that are online here: Slack, Basecamp, Trello. Trello is a free one that I love. You get to see everything in one place, and you get to, basically it's a way for everybody to be on here and communicate. They can see your projects, and you can chat back and forth on there, put notes, and then decide, like what kind of projects that you're going to have. And I don't know, it's just, I really like that one. Like I say, you can use these, or there's Slack even has a mobile app that you can use, so you can keep in contact that way as well. Because I have virtual assistants, I'm able to create systems. And these are some of the things that I do in my business. These are some of those branches that you saw on that mind map, just retail arbitrage. I have people that help me shop. There's online arbitrage, wholesale, buying having them like source online wholesale items and possible suppliers. Private label ideas, like you just saw, merch by Amazon. Maybe they can go on Google and look up the trends and see what's going, doing well, and come up with ideas, and, run your Shopify store. These are just some of the things that I do that, you can do in your business. Again, like on Trello and those things, it's so important to see, again, your brain to paper, the things that you have to do, the progress of what's happening, and if they're completed or not, because you don't want to just like throw tasks out there. It's not a true business to see them not completed. Super important with daily reports. Maybe when you start out, it's going to be an email report when you just have one virtual assistant. Eventually, you'll want to branch out into other systems, but it's super important that every single day that you receive a daily report. How many hours was spent on the task? Did you have any issues? What kind of problems were you running into? And that way you can kind of evaluate your business this way. And if that virtual assistant is being efficient with their time. If it's taking them 6 hours to create a listing, there's something wrong. And so super important to think about that. These are, a couple of ones that you can, I'm not sure if timedoctor.com is actually still out there. Somebody told me that might not be there, but check it out. Timetrack.com is free. It just kind of helps them track their hours. You can decide, how sometimes, people don't like it. The virtual assistant don't like it when it's taking screenshots. TimeTrack doesn't do this, but there's some that are out there that takes random screenshots of their screen every now and then to show you what they're doing. And I don't know, for me, that's just, maybe getting to their privacy too much, but it does help them to stay on their toes. So you find the method that works out best for you, but accountability is huge. We talked about the holidays. Of course, we have all of these issues of the list of everything that we want to get done, right, on a daily basis, right? And we're going to always have that. But we need to remember that we have to take a break. We need to stop working. There's always going to be work to be done, always endless. As entrepreneurs, stack of ideas is always going to be there. The things and the list of things to do are always going to be there. And so this is something that's super important that I wanted to stress, and that is you're going to have milestones. You're going to have, maybe you can say by the end of this week, I want to have my first private label product ordered, or I want to have my first t-shirt up on Amazon merch, or whatever your milestone or your goal is. I want you to remember to take the time to reward yourself. Like I like to get massages. I like to travel and go to the blue beaches of the world. Maybe buy a new book on Audible or buy a new book at the bookstore. Some people like to go to the movies, and I love to go shopping, find a new outfit or something like that. But it's super important to not just go, and then not stop and reward yourself. It's such a huge thing, because there's got to be a fine line between work and balance, and balancing with your life, with your family life. And, yes, work is exciting. Believe me, I'm every day I have ideas and things that I want to do, but we can't let that overtake the balance of our life. And, we have to remember our why. At the very beginning, we talked about our why, and look and see how far we've come, right? And to never get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. I love this slide. I think that's totally me on the blue beaches on a hammock. And so, I love this slide by Tony Robbins. He's basically, success is doing what you want to do, when you want, where you want, with whom you want, as much as you want. I think about this quote often because it's true. I mean, there's many different definitions of success for each of us, but this one sticks out to me because, it just helps me to accomplish the things that I want. I wanted to share with you a contact me page. That this is my blog, and on Facebook, you can private message me, you can email me. There's my live event, that's coming up, simplezonseller.com. And of course, we have our podcast on Joy Reveals on iTunes. And if you are on if you're on the Android phone, it's on the Stitcher app. So I have thoroughly enjoyed sharing this presentation with you today, and I hope that it has helped you and, given you insight and open your eyes to the world of outsourcing, because as you open your eyes to that and you are open to it, then your business can scale. And there's so many possibilities, that await you. So I look forward to connecting with each one of you. And again, thanks for letting me be a part of this. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the future. Take care.